With the NFL trade deadline coming up in a couple days, we've seen a lot of names get thrown around as potential trade targets, and one of those is Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end Yannick Ngakoue. And when I first saw this posted by Dan Cilio, if I'm pronouncing that right, of the Dan Cilio show, he posted that the Jaguars have Ngakoue on the trade block. And when I first saw that, I was a little surprised. Yannick Ngakoue is one of the better young pass rushers in the NFL. A couple years ago, in his second season, he had 12 sacks. He had 8 sacks as a rookie, 9.5 sacks last year. Only 2 so far this season. But he's one of the better pass rushers. The Jaguars got a great steal out of him in the third round back in the 2016 NFL draft. And so I was a little surprised, and why would you be trading potentially your best edge pass rusher when you don't trade away good players? It's not like he's had off the field issues and that. So it kind of at the first impression it was kind of surprising, but then when you get to think about it, it makes a lot of sense. This offseason, Ngakoue held out of training camp. He sat out. There was threats that he was going to sit out into the season. He ended up not. He's going to be a free agent after the end of this season. And the Jaguars don't have a ton of cap room. They spent a lot of money in the last several years building up this roster, getting guys like Calais Campbell, A.J. Bouye, so on and so forth. Nick Foles this past year. They don't that cap room that they once had has kind of gone away. So Ngakoue is gonna command a pretty big contract, and he already held out and hasn't gotten his money. So that tends to make you think that he's gonna hit free agency. Maybe they franchise him. More than likely, if he's still on the roster at the end of the year, they're gonna franchise him. But that's gonna bring in a ton of money for him. So for a team that's kind of up against the cap, who didn't pay him this offseason when he held out, it makes sense that they want to put him on the market. And you'll say, well, what about the edge rusher? They traded away Dante Fowler, even though he hadn't done much. Calais Campbell is a defensive end, but he plays a lot, rushes a lot from the interior. But don't forget that the Jaguars drafted Josh Allen this past year, 6 overall. He's a guy that not a lot of people thought would get to him. A lot of people thought he'd be one of the top draft picks. He ended up falling to number 6, and they've got him, and now they're able to really have that guy to kind of replace him. Yeah, obviously you would want the multiple pass rushers, 2, 3 guys. For sure you want 2 guys to get that third guy. And Josh Allen's having a good year. He's got 5 sacks on the season, so I think they're seeing, okay, Yannick Ngakoue is gonna command a big salary. We've got Josh Allen right here. We don't think we can pay or want to pay Ngakoue the money that he wants, so let's just trade him off. And this year we're seeing so many guys get traded away, whether it be Jalen Ramsey, whether it be Larry Tunsil before the beginning of the season. We're seeing a lot more trades than we have the last few years, and I think Ngakoue, there's a good chance that he gets moved, just because if you're the Jaguars, they're not really in the playoff race. They're not too far out of it. It's still early, but more than likely they're not going to be making the playoffs. Ngakoue is going to leave in free agency. He would probably net them at a minimum they're going to get a third round compensatory pick if he leaves in free agency. Because I don't think they're going to bring in enough to kind of offset that. So they're going to look to trade him, and if they could get more than that third round pick, they should do it, because it doesn't look like he's going to resign. So you've got to get the best value out of him. And we've seen Mohamed Sanu go for a second round pick. And I would say Yannick Ngakoue not only plays a higher impact position, but is a better player than Mohamed Sanu. So you'd think they should at least be able to get a second round pick. Could they get a first round pick? I don't think they're going to get multiple first round picks like they did with Jalen Ramsey, like what we saw with Khalil Mack a few years ago. But even if you can get just one first round pick, maybe even just 2 second round picks, I think this is a slam dunk move that you make. Because once again, I don't think he's coming back. I think he's going somewhere else. He wants the big time money. He's not going to get that with the Jaguars. So why are you going to run the risk of, hey, keeping him? It's not like you're going to make the playoffs this year. Trade him away. Get those pieces. You already got that second first round pick for the Jalen Ramsey trade. Continue to build up draft picks, and then you can build this offense around Nick Foles or Gardner Minshew, whoever it may be. Fill in defensively. You've got that guy in Josh Allen who's going to be the replacement for Ngakoue. I think this is a slam dunk move, but you got to have a team that's willing to put up that price. It's easy to say, oh, yeah, we'll trade him away for 2 second-round picks. We'll trade him away for one first-round pick. We'll trade him away for 2 first-round picks. You got to have that team that's offering. But there's teams out there that are on the fringe of making the playoffs or looking to make that move into the Super Bowl contention that would love to get them up. If I were them, I'd be calling the Saints, saying, hey, you guys look pretty good. You need that extra pass rusher, Marcus Davenport. He's been, is he going to be enough? See if we can get a first-round pick out of them. They're all in on the playoffs. So when it's all said and done, who knows if he's going to be traded? The trade deadline's just in a couple days. I'm taping this on Sunday night. But I think it would be a wise move for the Jaguars to do so.